Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we're going to be talking about the new update that just went live for Black Ops 7. I have the patch notes on my screen right here, but more importantly than patch notes, I have 5 hours of just playing the game on stream right now. I just streamed 5 straight hours of gameplay, including some aim assist testing against some bots and just trying to win some gunfights because we have some aim assist changes, some assault rifle changes, a bunch of SMG changes, and I want to talk about my experience with the game currently. That's right, you're kind of getting a twofer here. We're talking about both the patch that just went live, and we're talking about my general experience with the game a little bit over a week after launch. So first things first, when it comes to the patch that just came out, they changed how aim assist works, and I know a lot of people on Twitter have trouble reading patch notes. They don't understand them, they misinterpret them, or they purposefully spread misinformation about them for engagement farming. So I'm going to read this for you. We intentionally took a big swing with our aim assist changes between beta and launch. Now that we've had time to collect data and player feedback, we're making a slight adjustment, as we do with all aspects of gameplay over time, to hit our targets and address the wider range of feedback. Black Ops 7 launched with a new right stick aiming requirement for achieving maximum rotational aim assist strength. When the right stick isn't used or isn't tracking a target effectively, players now experience a minimum rotational aim assist strength. At launch, the minimum rotational aim assist was 35% reduced from the beta, and the beta was our standard aim assist that we've had in Black Ops 6 and games before. So essentially, aim assist was 35% reduced when your right stick, your aiming stick, wasn't tracking the target. So they said our goal for this new mechanic and our other aim assist range changes is to provide the most competitive experience for all players and inputs. This slightly overshot our balance target, so we're making a small tuning adjustment to the minimum rotational aim assist. Aim assist is one of the most integral components of gameplay feel, so it's crucial for us to settle on tuning that feels both great to play with and hits our balance goals. As always, we'll continue to closely examine game data and player feedback. So they are going to be tweaking the aim assist range. That is confirmed there. They said they're going to be working on their aim assist range, but all they did with this update is the minimum rotational aim assist penalty when you're not touching your right stick and not aiming towards an enemy used to be a 35% rotational aim assist strength penalty. It is now a 25% penalty, meaning it's a 10% change. You are penalized 10% less for not engaging your right stick properly. This is a minute change, and after playing today, it took a little bit of time because 10% is enough to affect your muscle memory, and I've been doing a lot of aim training with the new aim assist to get good with it. So changing it by 10%, I definitely had to learn for a second, but after playing against a ton of bots and getting a lot of gameplay today, I have to say it's not that big a deal. You're not going to suddenly be walling people and tracking people. I'm really angry. I saw some players immediately, an hour after this went live, saying, oh, now my aim assist sticks to everybody like it's made of glue. And no, there's no way. I'm sorry. It's a 10% change if you are not engaging your right stick. If you've been engaging your right stick to activate the new aim assist this whole time, you're probably not going to tell a difference. It's just a little bit more lenient when you're not engaging the right stick. It's just a little bit more lenient. So not a big deal. Don't let anybody blow this out of proportion. It's not a rug pull. It's not a giant change. If they do a giant change, I'm going to be a little annoyed because I really liked where the aim assist was. I did think that close range, hip fire engagements, felt a little floaty on controller, but nothing too severe. Moving on, assault rifles. They are changing assault rifles, and they have a bunch of stuff written in their patch notes about it, but they did increase the base flinch from 15 newtons to 18 newtons, so slightly more flinch on assault rifles. That's a good thing. LMGs get more flinch, marksman rifles get more flinch, and these ARs are super powerful, and I think you should receive more flinch. And there's multiple attachments to reduce the flinch that you're taking in, so don't cry about it. They tweaked the M15, and I'm not going to go over every damage number. If you guys are interested in detailed numbers, definitely read the patch notes yourself. I don't want to make a 20-minute video here talking about every single number they changed. But they did make it slower to sprint to fire, slower to tactical sprint to fire, movement speed was reduced, crouch movement speed was reduced, sprinting movement speed was reduced, just by little bits, like 0.1 meter, 0.2 meters here and there. ADS movement speed reduced, increased first shot recoil, and slightly increased view kick strength. This didn't change balls. The gun is still dominating. The gun is still one of the best SMGs, best ARs in the game. I know it doesn't technically kill that fast, but in close range, the M15 is killing in 0.3, which is a really fast time to kill. For comparison's sake, at 10 meters, the Razor 9mm kills in 0.2. And that is the high rate of fire close range SMG. So using the SMG at its intended range, you're only saving about 1/100th of a second by just not using the M15, which is also something that can stretch out and kill people at 50 meters with the right setup. So I'm not impressed with this. I don't want them to nerf it into the ground, but we'll get into more of what my issue is later here. The AK-12 or the AK-27, I keep calling it the AK-12. The AK-27 is another AR that they said was more versatile than they intended, so they changed some ranges and they also made it a little bit slower, like an AR should be. You know, sprint to fire time is now like 250 instead of 230. Everything's kind of reduced by like 0.1 to 0.3 meters. Nothing too standout that I can read, and they increased the first shot recoil, and they increased maximum vertical recoil climb on the AK. That's good. The MXR-17, they made it so slide to fire and ADS movement speed it's now a little bit slower, about 10 milliseconds or 0.1 meter per second for both of those changes. Again, super small changes, not really noticing them in game. People are still sliding into me with the MXR and like 3-tapping me. It's kind of rude. The X9 Maverick burst rifle is now also, you know, same thing. Sprint to fire speed, tactical sprint to fire speed, slide to fire and ADS movement speed all reduced by like 10 milliseconds. Or maybe a little bit more, maybe 40 milliseconds for like the slide to fire, which I think that makes sense. It's supposed to be like a marksman rifle AR hybrid, it being a burst rifle and all. But the big thing now is that the neck, upper torso, and upper arms now have a 1.05 multiplier, and it was before a 1x multiplier. So they reduced its damage to 33, which is pretty cool. Making it just a little bit lower damage, but then giving it a little bit of an extra multiplier for those neck and upper torso shots. Basically, it's going to really reward accuracy without just being something you can spray around all day. And the same thing happened to the DS-20 Mirage. That's happening to pretty much all the assault rifles here. Sprint to fire time increased, tactical sprint to fire time increased, ADS movement speed reduced. Basically just things are a little bit slower, again, usually within about 10 milliseconds or so. You can read the numbers. Basically every AR caught a nerf except for the Peacekeeper, which I think is valid and cool. Now with the SMGs, they changed a lot. They reduced view kick on the Raiden, they reduced gun kick on the Raiden. The RK9 also just increased all the damage ranges and like increased how powerful the attachments are. So on different foregrips and different underbarrels and stuff, just improvements from like 8 to 12%, 60 to 62%. Basically, all of the attachments on the RK9 that you're going to be likely to use are better now. They increased a little bit of the second damage range on the Razor 9mm, which is pretty cool. Now it goes to about 30.5 meters in that second damage range where you're dealing 13 damage. So it makes it a little bit more consistent. They also reduced view kick and reduced gun kick, so that's pretty cool. For some reason, they buffed the long range, like damage range for damage range 2 on the Dravik. I don't know why. The Dravik doesn't need any sort of buff right now, but whatever. Carbon 57, reduced view kick, basically increased every attachment you're going to use, like from 30 to 35, 15 to 21. A little bit more like notable improvements on the Carbon 57. Especially the Goliath steady grip helping with vertical recoil from 8 to 15%. That's very notable. The MSMC, or I guess the MPC-25 SMG, improved its slide to fire speed, dive to fire speed, aim down sight speed. A lot of crazy changes. Again, I highly recommend you guys go through the patch notes. But the big thing is less gun kick and less gun view kick. So that's pretty cool. The Warden also now does not have upper arm multipliers, which is great. So basically you don't get a benefit for shooting people in the shoulders. Ha ha, told the people that were just pre-aiming me with the Warden on stream the other day and making me fucking rage. And they also nerfed the Nova lines, just movement speeds, and gave it a little bit extra flinch, which that makes some sense. And that's everything really notable that was affecting the meta of the game. Field upgrades, the drone pod now charges in 3 minutes instead of 2.5. The drones are now only alive for 8 seconds instead of 10, and the drone pod damage is reduced from 60 to 50. I still hate the drone pod, don't know why it's there. And then they changed some stuff, like increased the missile count for the LDBR second strike overclock from 9 to 13 missiles per target, which is incredible. So, in case you don't know, the LDBR artillery strike has an overclock where you can call it in 2 different locations, and now it will do 13 missiles per target, which is that's crazy. That's awesome. That's a huge buff. A big change they did is they increased the viewable minimap area an extra 10% on top of the previously added 15% increase. So we're looking at overall a 25% increase to the minimap coverage, which is great. The minimap was way too zoomed in and way too narrow, and I really like the way it feels now, which is a great change. Unfortunately, if you are here looking for any sort of performance fixes for the Series X or PS5 platforms that are suffering from bad frame timing, bad 120 hertz, all that stuff, sorry, it's not fixed, it's not changed. They didn't do any meaningful performance updates to the game as far as I could tell. I'm gonna say this is kind of harsh. This is like one of the worst days in COD for me, and I'm being a little dramatic, but from Twitter having an immediate meltdown from a 10% change to aim assist rotation no right stick input penalty, having just a complete and total meltdown, calling it a rug pull, and just freaking out on Twitter, to all of these assault rifles being nerfed, but it not mattering because everybody's still using them because they're still the best weapons in class. If I was going to go on a streak, if I was going to play SND, I would use all of the assault rifles over the SMGs. I would use the M8 over all of the SMGs. There's not a lot of reason to run these SMGs. They're fun. When you go on high streaks with them, it's fun. The mobility is fun. But unfortunately, I'm taking 7-8 shots to kill somebody at like 25 meters, where the M15 is 4, 5, 6 shotting me across the map. And I can't do much about that. And so I'm not very happy. Unfortunately, guys, I'm not very happy because I tried to run SMGs today, and they still just, they're high recoil and they're low damage. And when you can get a streak going and when you can work in that perfect optimal range, I will admit it feels good. It just sucks to die to people working less hard than you for their kills. That always sucks in COD. Also, ARs are almost always better in COD than SMGs in terms of overall versatility. I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more buff towards the SMGs, and I think ARs need to be a lot heavier. I don't mind somebody pre-aiming me and zeroing me with an M15, but my issue is that I'm also dying to that M15 user in close range while they're sliding around, wall jumping, drop shotting. I feel like there should be some penalty with ARs for drop shotting. That's like a big one for me. I feel like you shouldn't be able to drop shot without dexterity with an AR. I think that should be reserved for SMGs, and give them a little bit more mobility in close range. I'm just having a problem with the amount of close range deaths I'm getting, like barrel stuffing close range deaths I'm having from ARs. And whether it's the M15, the Mirage, the MXR-17, I have a problem dying to these. The only gun in the AR category that makes sense to do that to me with is like the Peacekeeper, which is a weapon they didn't touch, and that weapon actually has recoil you have to control and is actually something that feels like it takes a monochrome of skill, whereas all of the ARs, I already have them arc light. They're amazing, and this nerf didn't do anything to the player base because the game already caters to that playstyle, that AR playstyle, that pre-aim, hold your cover, hold your ground playstyle. I'm not shitting on that playstyle, I just feel like the SMGs aren't going to compete against it until they get way less recoil, and I mean way less recoil from a base. I cannot challenge somebody behind cover with a Razor or a Raiden consistently enough to ever want to push out and fight somebody that has cover. These maps are riddled with head glitches. And I know some of you aren't going to get what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't do well with them. I'm saying that overall, there is a massive imbalance when you have this many low recoil, crazy good, consistent damage ARs and SMGs that require tap firing like you're playing Battlefield. It's kind of bizarre. The aim assist change, I think, is maybe helping a little bit in close range, but in general, I'm not loving it, guys. I wish I was. I'm not loving it. Unlocking stuff for these SMGs, progressing these SMGs is going to feel really bad until they just decide to just zero out all of the SMG recoil. If you want them to kill at the speed that they're killing, they need to have zero frickin' recoil. And it feels really bad to use the high mobility option with the SMGs, and all of my attachments are going to recoil mitigation, recoil mitigation, recoil mitigation. I'm still rocking recoil springs and horizontal recoil foregrips and muzzle brakes on these things because they're just not consistent against every other frickin' AR in the game minus the Peacekeeper, because that gun also has recoil. So that's my 2 cents on this. There's been some claims that matchmaking got much sweatier with this update. I have to say, in the spirit of fairness, yeah, something was different today. I felt like my lobbies for a Friday afternoon were demon lobbies. I don't know if it's just because everybody's on right now and so it has more people to, you know, adjust my skill towards or like skew me towards. Remember, skill is minimally considered. It's still being considered, but I don't know if there's just so many people online for double XP in Nuketown that it's just maybe like causing this issue. But I will say my lobbies today were the hardest they have ever been. And maybe it wouldn't have been if I was using an AR, so that needs to be factored in as well. I also slept like shit the night before making this video and doing that live stream, but I don't think that really affected me as much as just how bad my teams were and how sweaty my enemies were. So I don't know if they changed something, and I don't think I should even talk about this because I feel like me saying my lobbies felt harder today is just going to be like this immediate confirm for some people about the state of the game, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's real. I'm just letting you guys know what my anecdotal experience was today, and honestly I would say it's 50-50. Something was weird with the matchmaking, and I just suck with these SMGs so much it's not even funny. Currently I am enjoying the game. I like it a lot. It's just that I feel like as soon as I like finish getting the AR's Arclight, I'm having trouble like getting streaks. I'm having trouble winning gunfights unless I'm using the M8. And I really honestly did not feel that way in Black Ops 6. I felt like I could kind of hop on and kill with the C9, the Jackal, the Tonto. And I just, you know, left Black Ops 6 with like their post-launch SMGs, the MP40, the SOG, the LC10, LCW10, like really good SMGs. And then going into this game, the SMGs are horrible, and I feel like all of them need 8 attachments, so I can like mitigate all of their recoil down to 0 and give them the maximum damage range possible. I don't like that. Currently right now, the game for me is a 6.5 out of 10, and that 0.5 is just from the matchmaking and the persisting lobbies alone. It is a much more diverse experience, even when it's sweatier. It's a diverse, more interesting play session, and that's very valued by me. The rest of my rating just is like, yeah, it's above average. 5 is average. I think this is above average COD multiplayer. I am really enjoying it. If they fix the performance issues and get these weapons balanced more in line with reality and how people are playing, I could see this being a 7 or 7.5 for me. And I'm really excited to say that because we're not even in season 1 yet. So massive changes will happen, updates, new content. So I'm feeling optimistic, but this update was a bit of a miss for me. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.